Hello and welcome to Global Eye. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Tensions are simmering at the line of control between India and Pakistan after the terror attack in Pahalgam left 26 people dead. There was a brief exchange of fire at the border. Sources in the Indian Army say Pakistan violated the ceasefire near Naugam village and opened fire using small arms, and the Indian forces retaliated effectively. The Indian Army Chief, General Upendra Dwivedi, is in Srinagar to take stock of the security situation. Sources say the Army Chief has directed all officials in J&K to remain on high alert. The United Nations called on both India and Pakistan to show maximum restraint. A spokesperson for the agency said that issues between the nations should be resolved through meaningful mutual engagement. Joining us right now is Lieutenant General Satish Dua, who has served extensively across Jammu and Kashmir. He was the Chief of Integrated Defence Staff and the former General Officer commanding of the 15 Corps in Kashmir. For our viewers, General Dua was the Corps Commander in Kashmir who planned and executed the surgical strikes in response to the terror attack at Uri. General Dua, thank you very much for joining us. Let me begin by asking you about the options for India at this stage when it comes to retaliating.
Thank you, Parikshit. Thank you for having me on your show. If you allow me a minute before I come to the options per se, I think India, our response has to be three-pronged. The options or the response to terrorism is one of them, the first one, the most important, no doubt. But there are also a couple of other things that we need to do. Let me expand on them first before coming here. I think the fact that the terrorists are killing innocent tourists, something they have never done before. Something we also, when I've been in Kashmir for so long, we imagined that it won't happen. Whenever anyone asked us, Kashmir mein aana safe hai? We said, yes, of course, they don't attack touristy places. And so they are taking a leaf out of Hamas's book. When they attacked the Nova Music Fest, killing innocent people, they wanted to internationalize the thing. So this is what they wanted to do here. Pakistan's diminishing relevance over the last 5 years because Kashmir is moving towards development, peace, tourism, political process, and progressing in every which way. So they are now, they've changed their tactics. All right. Having done that, they picked out people from one community, picked out the males. Now, what needs to be done, we have to ensure that when the bodies go back home, passions are not aroused. We don't have to get into that communal divide, religious divide. Because if we do, if it happens in other parts of the country, then the terrorists would have achieved their aim. We must deny them that. And the next thing is, the third part is, over the last 5 years, tourism has improved or been enhanced, increased by leaps and bounds in Kashmir. And many people have invested into tourism. People have built houses, extra rooms and homestay. People have taken a loan and bought a car to drive as a taxi. People have started buying ponies for so that sort of a thing is happening. Because 2 crores was a number last season. Overnight, that has been wiped out. So I think the state, when I say state, I mean the center as well as the Union Territory of J&K must have an outreach towards these people whose livelihood has suddenly been snatched away. Because I don't see very many tourists going there this season at least. So right. I think these things are also required. But last thing on the, may I continue on the response now?
Yeah, one more question. As you were talking about the intention of the terrorists who attacked, clearly they wanted to create communal disharmony, create tensions and panic in the country, create a communal divide. How long back do you believe they would have actually infiltrated, entered the country? Do you feel that they would have probably set themselves up locally a few months back? Or was this something they started 15 to 20 days back, entered India, they were hiding themselves somewhere in the forest and then carried out the attack?
It is very clear that bulk of them are foreign terrorists. With a couple of local terrorists, with the help of a couple of local terrorists, they've carried out this attack. I may not be able to put a figure to it, I mean, number of days, etc. But they could they wouldn't be, bulk of them, they wouldn't be here for much long, at least in this area. Because when when the terrorists move and operate in an area, even when they don't operate, they don't cause violence, there are rumblings. There are indicators that can be picked up by intelligence agencies. There are sources who will give you up. So they wouldn't want to risk a high profile mission like this. So to my mind, in this area, they have not sort of set them up, as you put it, for long. They have carried out some recce. Uh, Today anybody else could have carried out a recce for them with cameras, etc. And they have launched themselves at an opportune moment. Such operations are always, as a military man, I tell you, such operations, covert operations, are always cleared at the highest level. And they had the clearance of the highest level there of ISI, and the army is the Pakistan Army Chief, whose rant of a speech we've already heard. Okay. Now, talking
Very
of your first, sorry,
talking about the options now, sir.
yeah, options. When Uri, the terror strike took place at the Uri army camp, I was the co-commander. We lost 18 soldiers. Losing 18 soldiers is very tough. But the leadership acted bold. Mr. Parikar came there that very day and gave okay for this, what is now known as surgical strikes. In 10 days, we launched it. It was a shallow strike. It was a few kilometers inside, across the border on terrorist training camps, because we wanted to hit the terrorists. 2.5 years later, when Pulwama happened, 40 CRPF Jawans were lost. And when that happened, we carried out a precision airstrike deep into the Pakistan territory, again at terrorist camps. This time round, their intention is evil. It is much bigger than Kashmir or J&K. I mean, the intention is to spread this throughout the country, because tourists, they did not belong to army or a particular group or a state or some place. They are pan-India. And the grief is national. So, and the Prime Minister's speech. Before that, the Raksha Mantri's speech also said very similar things. But the Prime Minister, when he announced yesterday in Bihar, and the fact that he suddenly switched to English, he was not speaking to the people of Bihar. He was speaking to global audience. And he said, operative two sentences are that we will identify, we will track them, and we will pursue them wherever they go. And who? Not only the terrorists, but also their backers. And who are the backers? The backers are very clearly the ISI, which is a part of the Pakistan Army. So I think it is the Pakistan Army overall, which is the biggest terrorist organization. And I'm sure our response will be very bold, very imaginative. It has already begun. Indus Water Treaty, a diplomatic surgical strike has taken place. Pakistan was always complacent that over 4 wars, or 3.5, if you count Kargil conflict not as a full-blown war, over 3.5 wars, we have, and so many terrorist strikes, we have never, ever used water as a leverage, as a matter of humanity, because it serves the poor people of Pakistan. It serves the farmers in Punjab and elsewhere. Punjab, that is in Pakistan. We have never done that. But this time, we have put them on notice that no more, enough is enough. We will actually hurt them. This is going to hurt them the most. So that has begun. So, despite, in addition to the slew of diplomatic measures, I'll not go into that. Everyone knows that by now. Economic.
Right. There,
already,
of course,
economic has taken place. Already, economic has taken place. Because of the water scarcity, their economy will crumble. And so, as far as the military response is concerned, the last sentence I want to say is, you see, diplomatic and economic measures are always decided upon in a CCS meeting, announced, and then applied. Whereas military response will, of necessity, always be executed first and then announced. There is obviously, it cannot be announced in advance.
Right.
Thank you.
And perhaps right now is not the best time, considering Pakistan also has started military drills. They are completely prepared. So perhaps this is not the best time. It has to be at a time and place of our choosing, General Dua.
Absolutely. You know, such things are always a time and place of our choosing. We will decide when to do it, whether it is first to lull them in complacency, whether it is to do with the Met and the other conditions, whether it is to build some opinion, whether it is to sort of uh, do the acquisition of targets, that means decide. So all that is, let me not discuss more. So it has to be, the operative phrase is what you said rightly. It has to be at the time and place of our choosing. And since it is going to be a much bigger than than a surgical strike or a Balakot strike, we need to exercise more caution and sort of make sure that it is just not known in public domain. It won't happen, and I'm sure we'll have a better. We've used so many enablers there over the last few years. There are drones, there is artificial intelligence, there is space, or there are so many things have developed, and I'm sure there will be an appropriate response at the right time.
And my final question, sir, before I let you go, I'm running out of time, but briefly, if you can explain to us a question that a lot of people are asking as to how come there were so many tourists there and there was no security. We know that the closest army position is 7 kilometers away from Pahalgam. The army will be deployed in any region in a place like this only when they have orders to do so. This area possibly would have been under the control of the police. Where do you think the lapse was, and what is the immediate learning for us from what has happened in this tragedy?
Let me clarify, and let me say, I hope the viewers understand this in the correct perspective, that whole of Kashmir Valley, it is 124 kilometers long and about 38 to 40 kilometers wide. The whole of Kashmir Valley abounds with such tourist attractions. There are valleys, there are rivers, there are meadows, and at some places where it is developed into a gondola ride, a cable car way, and all that. Those are, of course, the sort of concentration points. But people go on treks, people go for angling, for fishing, for for the mountain trout. So there are so many things there. I don't think it is possible to post police. Of course, it can't be army because army is doing counter-terrorist grades, and so is Rashtriya Rifles. It is not possible to post policemen at every place. And in fact, the bigger part is that there was never any requirement because, like I said earlier in the beginning, we never imagined they're going to attack tourists because it is going to erode away their popular support, and which is a fact, which has happened. Now everyone in Kashmir is sort of stood up against them, cutting across party lines. All the opposition parties, including the Hurriyat, have condemned this. People have come out in vigil because it has struck their livelihood also. So it was not expected that they'll do it on one hand. On the other hand, it is not really possible to place protection parties everywhere. And but I do concede it's not that nothing can be done or nothing could be done. For instance, we have to work up more intelligence. We should not, the security forces, the police has to keep an ear to the ground. We must not let go of our human intelligence because a lot of electronic intelligence, ELINT as it is called, is being generated. So sometimes there is a tendency to rely more on that and less on human, but I think there is nothing better than cultivating sources and keeping a keen ear to the ground so that you keep picking up such things, especially after Pakistan Army Chief and we could have also read the picture better and things like that would have been done. I'm sure we all are learning our lessons.
All right, General Dua, thank you very much for joining us with that comprehensive perspective on what has happened and the road ahead and the lessons as well. We're taking a short break, but coming up on the other side, India and Pakistan have closed their main borders, linking both nations to one another. What are the other diplomatic measures that the two countries have taken? A special discussion on the other side with Manjeet Kriplani and Burzine Waghmar. Don't go anywhere, that discussion coming up. Welcome back. The Cabinet Committee on Security, India's highest decision-making body on national security, unleashed its response against Islamabad on several fronts. The Indus Waters Treaty has been suspended. All visas to Pakistani nationals have been cancelled. India has also downgraded its diplomatic ties with Islamabad while reducing its mission strength. Pakistan has been asked to do the same. The Atari border in Punjab, the only permitted route for India-Pakistan trade, has been sealed. Pakistan has said that any attempt to stop or divert flow water belonging to Pakistan as per Indus Waters Treaty will be considered as an act of war. Pakistan also responded with a slew of retaliatory measures. It has revoked all trade-related activities. The country will also close down the Waghmar border with immediate effect. All bilateral agreements have been put in abeyance, including the Simla Peace Agreement signed more than 5 decades ago. Islamabad has also closed its airspace to Indian airline companies. Joining us right now is Burzine Waghmar from University of London. Also joining us is Manjeet Kriplani, Executive Director at the Gateway House. Burzine, if I could begin with you, do you feel Pakistan, with the manner in which it has supported these terror groups, has isolated itself around the world? Just look at the optics, the manner in which this attack was carried out. Just as General Dua pointed out a short while back, you have taken a cue from the manner in which the Hamas had attacked Israeli civilians long back. And you attacked civilians, you have killed them at point-blank range. So clearly, the public opinion is against them.
The historian in me, Parikshit, would like to commence by harking back to Operation Parakram in 2002, when tensions were this high as they are now. Then in 2002, Pakistan was deemed a non-NATO ally and frontline state in the war on terror. Its importance has considerably diminished, not to mention it disgraced itself with Osama being discovered in 2011 in Pakistan. So things have changed and much water has flowed under the bridge. What has not changed is that Pakistan continues to be a rogue state in that it does not care for the consequences and fallout insofar as reputational costs go in the international arena. It has always factored that in and felt it can ride it out. It did so back in 2002 with the Kaluchak massacre and prior to that, the Parliament attack and the Red Fort attack in 2000, if you remember too, plus the Akshardham Temple attack in September 2002. And every time it does so because of the nuclear umbrella. And pursuant to Operation Parakram, as you know, Indian planners had taken a major departure step. It was a watershed moment in that they had to come to realize that one will have to fight with Pakistan despite the nuclear umbrella. Conventional warfare must be conducted under the shadow of it, which led to the origins of the cold start doctrine propounded by the Indian forces, as you know. So even if Pakistan importance is not there currently, and it's reeling under one-too-many crises, it does feel the urge to keep itself in business by running such proxies to keep India on the trot. What has happened is India has called it game, set, and match, as you know, and the Indus Waters Treaty is a new step. It's a novel step, but it also builds on the 2016 terrorist attack, pursuant to which data sharing as per the IWT, Indus Waters Treaty, had been considerably curtailed. And the Pakistanis had been complaining since 2016 that only 40% of data sharing has been happening. But I'll stop here for now, and then we can come back to it later.
All right. Manjeet Kriplani, thank you so much for joining us as well. Let me ask you about the impact that Pakistan wanted. It wanted to bring back the Kashmir dispute. It calls it a Kashmir dispute, and they wanted to bring it back from their perspective on the international arena. They wanted to instill fear in the minds of Kashmiris that the Pakistani army, Pakistani terrorists still are a force to reckon with in Kashmir. Do you feel that the Indian government, while retaliating militarily, diplomatically, will have to address this at the ground level going forward?
I think definitely they have to address it. But one or two things that we need to do, which we have not done so far, is two things. The Indus Water Treaty, putting it in abeyance, is long overdue. So we need to start doing what we plan to do, which is building all the 10,000 megawatts of hydroelectric projects. Because although people think that Pakistan is the sufferer here, actually India gets only 30% of the water of the Indus from this treaty. Pakistan gets 70%. Secondly, we have not imposed sanctions on Pakistan at all. I mean, this is something, our regulations are woefully out of date. We have a 1967 regulation, which is the Unlawful Public Activities Act, which we're using for dealing with terrorism. We don't have any updated sanctions acts, which is what the US and USS CATSA and the UK and Germany, they all have updated sanctions laws. We need to start using this very aggressively. So once we use the economic tools that we need to develop, then we can start thinking about the military tools. The last thing is, financially, we have to get Pakistan back on this particular incident, means that Pakistan has to get back onto the FATF. Clearly, the resistance force, which has taken responsibility for this attack, is loosely linked to the Lashkar, which means that they've got funding from somewhere. And maybe even if it's local funding, we have to get to the bottom of it. You always have to follow the money. Then you can do whatever you need to do militarily, but you have to strangle them economically.
Right. Manjeet Kripalani, do you also believe, and this is what one of our panelists said yesterday, is that do you have a consistent Pakistan policy? Do you feel it's time that our doctrine on Pakistan gets very, very clear? There are no changes in it, whether it's water sharing, whether it's economic relations, or whether it's use of airspace, nothing changes and it remains as it is?
That's very hard for us to do, Parikshit. It is our neighbor. We're in this strange situation that really very few countries are in, where we have an actual hostile neighbor to our north. One is Pakistan on our west, and the other one is China to our north. Now we've got Bangladesh, a problem with Bangladesh to our right, which I hope will get resolved. But it's very hard for us to have, draw hard lines. This is not the Soviet Union where you can divide an iron curtain. It's just not that era. So we have to use, I feel we have to use all the economic tools first to really strangle Pakistan. And also we need to step up our diplomatic and our public relations on Pakistan. Pakistanis have superb public relations and we have none. So we can think we're a big country, we can manage, but we can't. We have to use these tools to the best of our ability. And, then we'll have a proper doctrine. It shouldn't only be military.
Burzine, just to get you in at this stage, as Manjeet Kripalani was pointing out, you need a very strong diplomatic and PR machinery to continue exposing Pakistan at every stage. But currently, on the issue of economic sanctions that Manjeet pointed out, do you feel it's important for India to work with countries like US, other P5 nations, to see if sanctions can be imposed on Pakistan? We have very close linkages with the United States. Can we convince, according to you, the United States to impose sanctions on Pakistan? After all, their vice president was in the country when this terror attack was unfolding.
India should capitalize on that. Your interlocutor in Bombay has quite rightly laid out the facts, and that India has a Trump administration in place, the current dispensation, which is particularly favored to India, which has never been seen hitherto in so many decades. Consider just the Thakur Rana's arrival in India, which would have been unthinkable otherwise in yesteryears. India should capitalize and build on it. And as the lady mentioned, that also India has never had a robust PR policy. The entire thinking in South Bloc, insofar as Pakistan is concerned, is not to give it the oxygen of attention and PR, and somehow the matter would die a natural death, and that you can just ignore it by the wayside. But you see, this goes back to also what I've mentioned, that Pakistan is active enough to conduct these atrocities over and over again, because reputational costs don't matter to it. Just like Iran and what Iran does in the Middle East, reputational costs don't matter to it. It feels it can ride it out and get away with it because of the nuclear umbrella and because of the fact that it's considered a keystone state in a geostrategic region, and that the Western powers may be averse to coming down hard on it because of the terrorism factor. It has played that you can only play that card for so long. But now,
Right.
of course, India can act on this. And even on flights, I mean, Air India is pretty inured to it. All it does is just exit out of the west coast of Gujarat, and flights can continue to the west. So there's no problem in it. The Indians have enough experience on these matters for flights going to the
Completely run out of time, but thank you. Okay, we've completely run out of time, Burzine. I'll have to leave it there for the moment, but thank you very much to you and Manjeet Kriplani for joining us in the program. This is a story that we'll continue tracking very closely here on CNBC TV 18. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Global Eye. Thank you for watching. News continues on the other side.